What if the one thing holding you back is how much you're looking outward instead of inward? In a world full of noise, opinions, and distractions, have you forgotten the sound of your own voice? You're standing at step 3 of your life. But what if step 10 is where your true power begins? Have you ever truly stopped to ask yourself, why do I need to focus on myself? In today's world, where conversations feel shallow, distractions are endless, and everyone seems to be chasing something that doesn't belong to them, do you have the courage to pause, tune out the noise, and actually listen to your inner voice? I'm asking you, no, I'm challenging you to do exactly that. Stop scrolling, stop chasing validation, stop drowning in the opinions of others. Now is not the time to look outward. Now is the time to turn inward and ask yourself a question that could change everything. What would happen if I gave 100% of my energy to becoming the best version of myself? Imagine this. You're standing on step 3 of your life's journey. Maybe you've even made it to step 4, and it's comfortable here. Familiar, but comfort, my friend, is the enemy of growth. I dare you to climb higher, to reach for step 5. Then step 6. Use every ounce of your strength to rise. Not because it's easy, but because you know deep down you're capable of more. Don't just settle for what feels possible. Live to find out how far you can really go. Yes, this path will test you. The moment you choose to focus on your own growth, you'll stand out. And when you stand out, you'll face resistance, doubt, criticism, even ridicule. But here's the real question. Are you willing to sacrifice the comfort of today for the greatness of tomorrow? This video holds your answer. Don't wait. Don't shrink to fit in. Don't let fear dictate your future. Take action now and begin transforming into the strongest version of yourself. Rule number 1. Focus on self-improvement. Focus on yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. Think of it as building a relationship with yourself, a patient, honest, and compassionate one. Just like you'd care for a loved one, you must learn to care for your mind, body, and spirit. This isn't about spa days or temporary escapes. It's a long-term commitment to your own growth. When you focus inward, you begin to notice your emotional triggers, your mental patterns, and the physical signals your body gives you. You start to understand your limits, and even better, how to push past them. The Stoics believed in this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's exactly the point. You can't control the success of others, or the pressures of society, but you can control how you respond, how you grow, and where you place your attention. Picture this, you're standing on a shoreline. The ocean in front of you is loud, chaotic. The waves represent everything outside of you. Social media, societal expectations, opinions you didn't ask for. If you don't anchor yourself, those waves will pull you under. But when you focus on you, the shoreline becomes clearer. You stop chasing and start creating. You stop comparing and start becoming. Take the story of a young artist. Each day, they sit in front of their blank canvas, hoping to find inspiration. But every time they scroll through masterpieces on social media, they shrink. "I'll never be that good," they whisper. They almost give up. But one day, something shifts. They stop comparing and start exploring. They turn inward. They begin painting not to impress, but to express. And in doing so, their work becomes honest, powerful. ALIVETHA, tease the power of focusing on yourself. It's not about ignoring the world. It's about building a stronger you so the world can't break you. And so, the moment the artist stopped comparing and started focusing inward, everything began to change. They began to truly focus on their own journey, not someone else's finish line. Instead of wondering how to impress others, they asked a more powerful question: how can I paint better than I did yesterday? From that point on, each day became a small act of devotion to their craft. They spent hours blending colors, experimenting with brushstrokes, and revisiting the same subject over and over, not out of frustration, but out of curiosity. Each attempt wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. And in the quiet process of learning, failing, adjusting, and trying again, something beautiful happened. The joy returned. Not the kind that comes from likes or praise, but a quiet, deep fulfillment. The kind that grows when you create for yourself, not for approval. Each canvas became more than a painting. It became a step forward, a personal milestone, a gentle reminder that the journey itself is what shapes you. Over time, the artist's skills improved, but more importantly, they began to uncover something priceless: their own artistic voice, a unique, personal style that could never have emerged if they had stayed stuck in comparison. By choosing to focus inward, they unlocked the door to becoming their most authentic, most unrepeatable self. Now pause. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat with your own thoughts, completely undistracted? Are you living a life that's based on other people's standards? Or are you slowly, steadily, building a life that feels like your own? What did you do today that made you feel proud? Not because someone else approved, but because you did. These questions aren't just reflections. They are compasses, tools to help you realign your energy, your focus, and your path. Because focusing on yourself isn't just about cutting out noise. It's about choosing every single day to develop the untapped power inside of you. And no, this isn't the easy path. It demands consistency. It demands courage. But every small step you take inwards brings you closer to the highest version of who you're meant to be. Let's take another example. Someone who loves cooking. They've always admired gourmet meals, but never dared to make one themselves. Until one day, they decide to try. Not just for the taste, but for the challenge, the growth, the satisfaction of learning. They begin at the basics, choosing ingredients, understanding spices, figuring out how flavors combine. At first, it's a mess. Burnt food, unbalanced seasoning, frustration, but they don't stop. Little by little, they improve. Not only do they become a better cook, but they discover something deeper: the joy of creating something meaningful with their own hands, something no one can take away. That's the essence of self-improvement, exploring your limits, then breaking past them. In Stoic philosophy, this kind of growth is compared to strengthening a muscle. And like any muscle, growth doesn't come without tension. It doesn't come without struggle. Let's say you're learning a new language. In the beginning, it's overwhelming. The grammar feels like a maze. You mispronounce everything. You feel awkward, maybe even stupid, but you keep going. One word becomes 5. 5 become full sentences. Eventually, you're holding real conversations, and with each sentence, your confidence grows. Not just in the language, but in yourself. That's the gift of personal growth. It doesn't just stretch your abilities, it reshapes your identity. And yet, this journey isn't always smooth. Because the moment you choose to focus on yourself, you'll start hearing voices. not just from the outside, but from within. Criticism, doubt, that inner judge telling you you're not good enough, not fast enough, not talented enough. So how do you stay firm when those voices get loud? How do you keep walking forward when others, or even your own mind, tries to pull you back? That's exactly what we'll explore in the next section. Number 2, overcoming criticism and doubt. Do you often find yourself second-guessing everything you do, judging your ideas before they even have a chance to breathe? Are you struggling to take action, not because you're incapable, but because doubt has whispered too many lies for too long? Let's dive deeper and learn how to silence the noise and trust yourself again. In the previous section, we explored how criticism and doubt often come from others and from within. But how you respond to those voices, that's where your true power begins. Let's be honest, we've all felt it. That smallness, that hesitation, that inner voice whispering, "Who am I to try this? Or I'll just embarrass myself." If you've ever felt too afraid, too uncertain, or like you simply don't deserve more, know this, you're not alone. Fear and self-doubt often cling to us the tightest when we dare to pursue something different, especially when that path strays from what others expect. But here's the truth. If you're ready to let go of the negative perspectives that have held you back for too long, let Stoic philosophy guide you. Let it show you the way to confidence, clarity, and inner strength. Because once you choose to chase something meaningful, something uncommon, there's one thing you must accept. Criticism and doubt are inevitable. Unconventional goals often confuse people. They make others uncomfortable. Why? Because when you break the mold, you remind them of the one they're stuck in. Many times, the criticism you receive isn't about you at all. It's a reflection of their fears. It's their discomfort speaking when they see you doing something they wouldn't dare to try. Let's say you're into sports. One day you decide to run your first marathon. You've never been a serious runner before, and suddenly, people around you start to question it. Are you sure you can do it? Isn't it a bit too much for you? Isn't that a waste of time? These seemingly innocent questions plant invisible seeds of doubt. Suddenly, your confidence shakes. You start second-guessing yourself. But this right here, this is the moment that matters. Do you give in, or do you use those doubts as fuel? The Stoics taught us, we cannot control the opinions or actions of others, but we have complete control over how we respond. Think of criticism as a mental workout, a way to train your emotional resilience. Instead of letting doubt break, you let it build you. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, obstacles aren't the end of the road. They are the road. Let's look at a real-life example. Andrea, a 45-year-old woman with a gentle smile and eyes full of quiet fire, shocked everyone when she said she wanted to learn the violin. Immediately, the comments came. You're 45, isn't it too late? Don't embarrass yourself. You're dreaming. But Andrea didn't respond with words. She didn't explain herself. She chose silence. She knew not everyone could see the world through her eyes. And that was okay. Day after day, in her little room, she practiced, holding the bow, learning how to make the first notes sing. At times, the music sounded messy, uneven, frustrating, but she didn't stop. She knew each try brought her one step closer. The people who once mocked her still heard her faint melodies from a distance, but they didn't believe she'd ever accomplish anything meaningful. Until one day, a year later, Andrea walked onto the stage at a local concert, violin in hand. As she began to play, the room fell into complete silence. The notes she created weren't just music. They were emotion, they were power. Even the ones who had doubted her were captivated. And when she finished, the applause was thunderous. She didn't respond with explanations. Her music said everything. Andrea's story is proof. Persistent action, paired with silence, can be louder than any justification. And it's never too late to start. Because in the end, results speak louder than words. Now here's what you must remember. When faced with doubt, the key is not to let it become your inner voice. When someone questions you, stop and ask, are these words true? Do they reflect who I really am? Or are they just echoes of someone else's limitations? This is a Stoic technique, training your mind not to let emotion cloud your judgment. Let's say you're joining a basketball team. You're unsure if you'll be good enough. That self-doubt creeps in. I'm not ready. I'll mess it up. But take a step back and ask, am I showing up? Am I practicing every day? Because that's what matters. You may not be the best yet, but if you're improving, learning, and staying disciplined, you're already winning. There will always be skeptics. There will always be noise. But you don't have to let that noise steer your path. Focus on what's within your control, your mindset, your effort, your persistence. As Seneca once wrote, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. Let that sink in. Just like we mentioned earlier, the world will always have opinions, but your energy belongs to you. So instead of waiting for permission, remind yourself daily why you even began this journey in the first place. A simple but powerful way to do that. Write it down. Write your goals. Write why they matter. Write how reaching them will help you become a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Because when your eyes are locked on your vision, the voices of doubt around you slowly fade into background noise. Their opinions, irrelevant. Your life, yours. Alone, the steps you take today are what shape your tomorrow, not their judgment. So ask yourself, honestly, if I don't act now, will I regret it later? Let that question sit with you. Let it challenge you, and dare to face the criticism. Dare to stand in the storm of doubt. Not because it's easy, but because growth lives there. Criticism and doubt aren't roadblocks, they're fuel. They test your resolve. They sharpen your focus. They prove whether your dream is real or just a wish. If you've ever pushed through negativity and come out stronger, share your story in the comments. You never know, your courage might be the spark someone else needs to rise. That's what this message is about. Not just understanding that rejection and skepticism are part of the process, but learning how to walk through them without losing yourself. In the end, it's you who decides who you become, not the voices of the crowd. Number 3. Belief and perseverance. Belief is powerful, but belief paired with perseverance, that's unstoppable. There's a psychological concept called the persistence of belief. It's the tendency to hold on to a belief even when reality gives us reasons to reconsider. It shows up everywhere, in how we view ourselves, how we judge others, and how we interpret the world. And sometimes it works against us. Take self-belief, for example. It's one of the most essential foundations of success. When you believe deep down that you can overcome hardship, that belief becomes your engine. It drives you forward even when the road feels impossible. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this. and you will find strength. Self-belief isn't just positive thinking. It's a decision, a conscious choice to trust your abilities regardless of the noise around you. But here's the truth. That belief doesn't grow on its own. You have to build it, nurture it, feed it through small victories, reflection, and facing discomfort. Imagine this. A few years ago, your co-worker John made a mistake on a project. Since then, he's handled some of the most complicated tasks with excellence. But still, you see him through the lens of his past error. That belief, it's outdated and unfair. Now flip that inward. Maybe you bombed a speech in high school, and despite giving strong, well-received presentations since, you still tell yourself, I'm just not a good speaker. That belief is no longer true, but you're still clinging to it. And now, it's holding you back. This is how belief, when rigid, becomes a barrier, not a motivator. The Stoics teach us to focus only on what we can control, and that includes our thoughts. When negativity dominates your mind, your potential shrinks. Not because you're not capable, but because you're already convinced you'll fail. It doesn't mean ignoring failure. It means shifting how you interpret it. Say you didn't pass an important interview. Your first thought, I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. That thought becomes a prison. One that traps you in fear, shuts down your ambition, and convinces you not to try again. But what if you saw it differently? What if that rejection wasn't the end, but a signal? Maybe it revealed areas to improve, more preparation, better communication, a deeper understanding of the role. If you take the lesson and apply it, that failure becomes part of your success story, not the end of it. When you truly commit to learning and mastering your field, failure no longer feels like the end. It becomes part of the journey, a stepping stone towards something greater. You start to realize the world doesn't shut down just because one door closed. There are always new paths, new opportunities, quietly waiting for you to step forward. All it takes is the courage to keep going, a positive mindset, and belief in yourself. These are the keys that unlock the prison of negative thinking. When your mind is no longer shackled by fear, it begins to see clearly. Even in the most difficult situations, it finds a way. It adapts. It solves problems. It grows. Always remember, failure is not the whole story. It's just one chapter. One of the most powerful lessons in Stoic philosophy is this: failure is not something to avoid, but something to accept. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So, instead of seeing failure as a dead end, treat it as a moment of growth. But to do this, you must challenge and reshape how you think about failure. Take John, for example. Imagine he finally begins to see you differently. Maybe he drops his judgment and starts to recognize your hard-earned success. What happens? The tension fades. The relationship improves. And a new space opens for trust, for collaboration, for progress. The same shift can happen inside you. Maybe you've always believed you're bad at public speaking. But what if that belief isn't true? What if it's just a story you've told yourself? When you question your limits, you often find they were never real to begin with. That's the power of belief. When you confront it honestly, it can transform. This doesn't mean giving up your values. It means refining them so they reflect truth, not fear. One of the best ways to do this is through inner dialogue. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? What proof do I have? Is this belief helping me or holding me back? These simple questions force you to stop running on autopilot. They bring clarity, They allow you to rebuild your confidence on a foundation of truth, not assumptions. Belief is like a double-edged sword. Used wisely, it can push you forward, even in the face of doubt. But if you hold on too tightly to the wrong belief, it can trap you. It can blind you to opportunities, to growth, even to joy. So don't just persist at it. Believe in yourself. Yes, but more importantly, know when to shift, when to evolve, when to see things as they really are. Don't let your biases about yourself or others block your vision. Believe, act, persist, but do it with clarity and courage, not blind hope. Only when you return your focus to yourself and step past your self-imposed limits, can you create something truly meaningful. This is the heart of Stoic philosophy. Steady, courageous, and awake to the truth. Let's continue, because what we're about to explore next is not just a lesson, but a turning point. In the previous section, we saw how Miranda began reclaiming her energy. But here's where the true transformation began. When she learned to love herself. Loving and accepting herself wasn't just part of healing. It was the key that pulled her back from the edge. Miranda told me, with deep conviction, love yourself as if your life depends on it, because it truly does. Many people don't fully grasp the meaning of that sentence till they look back on the times they put themselves last, when they silenced their dreams, buried their joy, and lived inside a cage built from fear and other people's expectations. But cancer taught Miranda something essential. Her purpose in life was simply to be herself and to express that truth without fear. And to do that, she had to start by loving herself. The moment she chose self-love, she stopped needing to fit in. She no longer bent herself to please others. She began to live more freely, fully. And with that came something most people spend a lifetime chasing. Freedom now. Maybe you've felt it too. That knowing self-love matters, in theory, is easy, but living it, entirely different. Especially in a world that often tells you the opposite. Society rarely teaches us that loving ourselves is strength. Instead, it whispers that self-prioritization is selfish, and that putting ourselves first is somehow wrong. And so we grow up seeking validation from the outside, while forgetting how to honor what's within. But imagine this. What if you stopped living in fear? What if, starting today, you chose to love yourself fully, unapologetically? You'd feel the shift. Life would open up in ways you never expected. Colors would seem brighter. Opportunities would appear that were once invisible. You'd begin stepping out of your comfort zone, not because it's easy, but because you finally feel worthy of more. When do you feel most alive? It's not when things are safe fits, when you take risks, when you stretch beyond your limits, say yes to the unknown, and dare to fail. Because let's be honest, success is meaningless without challenge, and joy, it's incomplete without the climb it takes to reach it. To live without fear, you need one thing: the courage to pursue the life you love. Not just a life that pleases others, not just a life built on obligation, but a life that reflects who you are at your core. One you can look back on with pride, because the truth is, life was never meant to be calm seas. It was meant to be a storm you learn how to ride. Living fearlessly isn't only about outer challenges, it's about winning the inner battles. Conquering fear, pushing through doubt, breaking through procrastination, which often masks fear of failure. True courage, it's understanding that failure is part of the road and walking that road anyway. When I look back, I don't just see the fears I overcame, I see the purpose that pulled me through. I've learned not only to live without fear, but to live with intention, because this life, at its core, isn't just about becoming better. It's about becoming you and using your story to light the way for others. And that brings us to the final chapter, purpose and dedication. If you've ever asked, what makes life truly worth living? This is where you'll find the answer. So dare to live, dare to love, dare to become fully yourself. Because once you align with your purpose, that's when life really begins. Let's move forward together. After understanding that living with purpose and without fear is the foundation for finding inner freedom, it's time to confront an important question. What are you truly living for? And as a natural continuation of this journey, we now step into the next chapter, life purpose and steadfast commitment. Have you ever asked yourself what truly matters most in your life? Is it the applause and approval of others, or is it the dreams still quietly sleeping inside your heart? This is not an easy question to answer, but if you want to live a life of meaning, it's a question you must eventually face. Picture yourself standing at the top of a high mountain. The path ahead is shrouded in mist, leading to the things you've always longed for. Inside you, a small flame flickers. It's your dream, your unique goal, one that belongs to you and you alone. But instead of moving forward, you sit down. You look around, waiting for someone else to validate your dream, wondering if it's even worth pursuing. This is the quiet tragedy that so many people live through. Life doesn't demand that you compete with anyone else. It simply asks that you focus on yourself, on your goals, and on the meaning you wish to create. Ask yourself, what makes you feel truly alive? What are you willing to trade your time, energy, and even your failures for? Imagine someone setting a goal to improve their health by walking 30 minutes a day, no matter the weather. The first week feels easy, clear skies, a cool breeze, and steps that feel like a peaceful stroll. But then the second week comes. The skies turn grey, rain pours down, cold wind seeps through the cracks of the door. They hesitate, thinking, should I wait for the rain to stop? But then they remember why they started. With a thin raincoat and soaked shoes, they step outside. Each footstep quietly declares, I will not give up. The next week, work piles up. Time becomes scarce. They only have a few minutes left at the end of a long day. While others rest, they rise and walk, making every minute count. Then come the aches and fatigue. People around them say, it's just walking. Take a break. It's not that serious. But they don't listen to criticism. They don't let pain or tiredness defeat them. Day after day, rain or shine, busy or exhausted, they keep walking. And through those quiet, determined steps, they not only move closer to their health goals, they build something even greater, a resilient spirit. Most valuable trait of someone who refuses to quit. Their results don't come from extraordinary talent. They come from daily perseverance. This is the core lesson. Consistency and steady action are the keys to any long-lasting achievement. Have you noticed that anything worthwhile demands unwavering commitment? Successful people aren't always the most gifted or the luckiest. They are simply the ones who know what they want and keep moving toward it day after day. Stoic philosophy reminds us, you can't always control life, but what you can control are your habits and your focus. And that's not just a philosophical idea, it's a way of living. Think back to that person walking each day. Every step improves not just their health but also builds their self-belief. Over time, Those small, consistent actions reshape them into someone stronger. You can do the same. Think back. Can you remember the last time you gave up on something? Maybe you tried to learn a new skill, but quit because it felt too hard. Or you began a journey of personal growth, but stopped because the results didn't come fast enough. That wasn't failure because you weren't good enough. It was failure because you gave up too soon. There is no path to success without setbacks. But as long as you keep going, you still have a chance. The only real failure is when you stop trying. The Stoics taught us, when facing difficulty, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take action. If not, let it go. But never abandon your dreams out of fear or impatience. Look at a small stream flowing down from a mountaintop. It never stops, whether it encounters boulders or steep drops. Each tiny drop of water flowing persistently over time can carve out an entire canyon. That is the power of consistency. Your life is like that stream. If you stay committed to your dreams, nothing is impossible. But if you allow others' opinions or your own self-doubt to take over, you'll stay stuck. So, how do you stay focused on your goals? Step 1. Define your goal clearly. Don't let it remain a vague idea. Turn it into a specific plan, broken down into small, actionable steps. Step 2. Take daily action. It doesn't matter how far you go each day as long as you keep moving. Step 3. Eliminate distractions. Your attention is your most precious resource. Protect it. Step 4. Master your thoughts. As Stoic wisdom teaches, you can't control the circumstances, but you can always choose your response. Life is a journey, and you are the only one who can decide its direction. When you focus on yourself, your goals, and your dreams, you'll discover a strength you never knew you had. Persistence and small daily actions, that's the path to greatness. No matter how tough it gets, if you haven't given up, you haven't failed. So, are you ready to focus on yourself? Because your dreams, they're waiting for you. Start today.